Cumbria. Now, the BBC News with Sophie Raworth and Alistair Gill at 6 o'clock.
Tonight at 6, desperate families are still searching for their children more than 24 hours after the devastating fire in a Swiss ski resort. Posted online, the faces of the missing. It's confirmed that 40 people have died, 119 are injured. Some of them have not yet been identified. This the moment it's thought the blaze took hold. Sparkler candles on champagne bottles too close to the ceiling. The whole basement bar was quickly engulfed. 16-year-old Artur is among the missing. His mother says she is desperate for news.
I don't know how severe his burns are. I don't know if he's recognisable. I don't know. All I want to do is find my child. All I want is to find my son.
Also tonight, a developing story. A major search and rescue operation is underway off the east coast of East Yorkshire. A number of people got in trouble in heavy seas. Amber weather warnings, meaning a danger to life, are extended in Scotland with heavy snowfall expected as a cold snap sweeps the UK. The boom in weight loss jab. 1 million people in the UK now thought them every week.
I see you in London working with your father.
And we speak to the star of Hamnet, Jessie Buckley, ahead of the Oscar-tipped film, which is set to be released this week.
And on the north in half an hour, a petition to ban greyhound racing attracts more than 35,000 signatures. And delays and diversions with no trains on the West Coast main line in Cumbria for 2 weeks.
Welcome to the BBC News at 6. Families are still searching for their children after the fire that swept through a bar during New Year's Eve celebrations in the Swiss resort of Crans-Montana. 40 people have been killed and 119 have been injured, some as young as 15. Almost half of them are being sent to specialist centres for severe burns across Europe. 6 of the injured have still not been identified. Investigators say it is likely that the fire started when champagne bottles with sparklers were lifted too close to the ceiling at around 1:30 yesterday morning. The flames quickly took hold. From Crans-Montana, here's Sarah Rainsford.
They keep on bringing flowers and tributes here, drawn to the scene of a disaster, still trying to take it all in. The site of the fire is now screened off for forensics teams. Inside this bar, dozens were killed, but many are still missing too, and their families are inconsolable. Letitia's teenage son Artur went to the bar for New Year's Eve and never came home. I don't know where my son is, she says. It's been 40 hours since he disappeared, and I don't know whether he's dead or alive. These pictures capture the critical moments as the fire broke out. The crowd's efforts to stop it are hopeless. Very soon, there's panic. Marco's friends who were in the bar are now missing. At the last minute, he decided not to go.
I'm shocked because I was at the restaurant with them some hours earlier, and then they were not with us again. The more time that pass, the worse I feel, because you start to realize after.
You saw some pretty horrific things.
Yeah.
Other friends and relatives of the missing have been posting their images on social media, hoping someone will have seen them and bring news. Alice Kalegas is just 15. Her brother says there's been no word of her or 3 friends since the fire. And this is 17-year-old Emmanuel. Italy's Golf Federation earlier reported his death, though that hasn't been confirmed officially. One of the most striking details about this disaster is just how many young people were caught up in it. This bar is extremely popular with a young crowd, and amongst the missing, the dead and the injured, there are lots of people who are just teenagers. They were in the basement bar here when the fire took hold, and the reason there are so many casualties is because the fire spread so quickly they couldn't get out. The photos some of them took that night of a celebration are now evidence for prosecutors, who now believe these flares are what sparked the fire.
Everything leads us to think that the fire started from candles or sparklers put on bottles of champagne and moved too close to the ceiling. From that, a blaze began quickly, very quickly.
This tragedy has struck in a place known for its calm and its beauty. Now, those heading for the slopes pass crowds in mourning. The investigation into who's responsible for all this has only just begun.
Well, Sarah, we saw some of the desperate families, their agony for those looking for their children. The victims have still not been formally identified, though, have they?
Yeah, and that's the problem. We were told today by officials here that 40 people, they believe, that lost their lives in this fire, but they haven't named a single one of those people because the fire was so fierce, the burns, the injuries so severe that it is extremely difficult to identify them. And we were told as well that for that purpose, the authorities have been taking DNA samples from relatives of the missing, possibly to match them with DNA found at the scene here inside what remains of the Constellation bar. So it is a very, very slow process and a really, really painful process for everybody who's waiting for news. And I suppose they're clinging to the hope that perhaps amongst those few people in the hospitals here who haven't been identified, perhaps their loved ones are amongst those people, or perhaps they're just somewhere else that haven't, and there hasn't been news. Perhaps somehow they could find out that they're alive. But of course, time is passing, desperation is increasing. We've seen really, really devastating scenes here, very upset people looking for news. And the investigation is only just beginning. Lots of questions already being answered about the safety measures inside the bar, about fire precautions, about how many people, how many young people were in that basement when the fire began. All of that is officially being investigated, but I have to say that the questions people here are asking most of all is about the lives, is about the names, the identities of those who've lost their lives.
Sarah Rainsford in Montana, thank you. The Met Office is warning that the freezing conditions currently blanketing the UK could last into the weekend and beyond. A number of amber weather warnings for snow and several yellow warnings for snow and ice are in place. The most severe conditions will be in Scotland, where several centimetres of snow have already fallen and more is expected. There are warnings of power cuts and vehicles becoming stranded. Well, Louise Hosey is in Aberdeenshire. What is it like?
Well, we're just a couple of days into 2026 and already some parts have been experiencing these bitterly cold wintry conditions, which is certainly making its presence felt here in the northeast and in northern parts of Scotland, where tonight this amber weather warning remains in place. Now, during the day we've seen blizzard conditions. There's also been travel disruption and very difficult driving conditions. And as the weekend approaches, the message really is that this very challenging weather is here to stay for a few days.
As the new year swept in, so did the snow. While it was work as usual for some, for others it was a much trickier day. An amber weather warning for parts of the north and northeast of Scotland brought blizzards, snowdrifts and difficult driving conditions. In Murray, many also woke up to a blanket of snow. Unfortunately for some, there was no escape from the freezing conditions.
The Met Office says up to 20 centimetres of snow could fall in low-lying areas, with up to 40 centimetres on higher ground. The Scottish Government has put in place a multi-agency response team which is monitoring conditions and providing support.
There were plenty of visitors to the snow-covered beach at Loch Morlich near Aviemore, where the cold temperatures cause part of the water to freeze over. It's not just Scotland affected. This winter's scene was in Warwickshire, with snow turning rooftops white across the country. In the heart of the Peak District, icy roads were scattered with snow. People are being urged to plan journeys carefully and pack essentials in the car.
Make sure your vehicle's ready. Make sure your tyres have got plenty of tread on them. Around about 3 millimetres in this, going into the winter. The legal limit's 1.6, but we recommend more. Check your oil, coolant, levels. Make sure you've got enough fuel, of course, or EV charge if you're driving an electric vehicle.
For those not having to travel, there was the opportunity to make the most of it. In the Aberdeenshire town of West Hill, those still on holiday were having fun.
Oh, it's crazy. Just woke up this morning and there's so much snow outside. I'm just out sledging today, making the most of it, so hopefully I'll stay here for tomorrow as well. But their mum's working from home today, so just try to get them out of the house and get a bit of peace and quiet.
When it's snowing, you can build snowmen and do snow angels.
It was his first time seeing snow, so he was buzzing when he woke up this morning, and so we're going to go make some snowmen and first ever time sledging.
The amber weather warning is due to end tomorrow at midday, but a yellow warning for snow and ice will remain in place for parts of Scotland until Monday. Louise Hosey, BBC News.
Well, NHS bosses are warning that the cold snap could increase the pressure on the health service in the coming days, despite the number of patients in hospital with flu in England falling in the last week. Hugh Pym is with me now, and the number of people who had flu who were hospitalised, the figures were not as bad as was feared.
Well, that's right, Sophie. There were dire warnings about flu cases rising right through December and into the new year, but that hasn't happened. Let's take a look at the latest situation in England in terms of positive flu cases. Well, there's a graph here. You can see the red line on the left is this winter. The other two lines are recent bad flu winters. And you can see flu cases this time started rising earlier than in those two previous years. But what looks like a peak has appeared, with cases now falling. But health officials have warned us not to assume that there won't be another peak, but it's certainly better than expected. What about hospital cases with flu? Again, in England, well, in the middle of last month, it was just over 3,100. By last week, that number had fallen to 2,676. Again, better than expected. But of course, we've now had these cold weather warnings, so flu may be better than expected for hospitals, but they've got to cope with the implications of cold weather, those with vulnerabilities like cardiovascular and respiratory being urged to take great care, but warnings that will put more pressure on the service and people being urged to only use A&E in life-threatening situations.
Hugh, thank you. A major search and rescue operation is underway this evening in heavy seas off the coast of East Yorkshire after a number of people got into trouble in the water at around 3 o'clock this afternoon. Reports suggest that one person has been pulled from the sea, but 2 others are missing. The Coast Guard says a helicopter, a spotter plane and 2 RNLI vessels are searching the coast off Withensea, east of Hull. We'll have more on that story if we get it before the end of the programme. President Trump has warned Iran against killing peaceful protesters, saying that the US was locked and loaded and ready to come to their rescue. At least 6 people were reportedly killed in Iran yesterday after a week of mass demonstrations sparked by worsening economic conditions. In response, a senior Iranian official has said any intervention would cause chaos across the Middle East. Here's Paul Adams.
After almost a week of protests, a day of funerals across Iran. From east to west, north to south, public anger mounting amid reports of demonstrators being shot dead. Since last weekend, popular fury has been increasingly visible on Iran's streets. The Islamic authorities lashing out in response. And now Donald Trump has weighed in. If Iran kills peaceful protesters, he warns, America will come to their rescue. We're locked and loaded and ready to go. A senior advisor to Iran's supreme leader hits back. The American people should know Trump started this adventurism. They should be mindful of their soldiers' safety. More fighting talk at a ceremony to commemorate top Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani, assassinated on Donald Trump's orders 6 years ago.
The United States and colonialists are always bullying and plundering the world. We must steadfastly uphold our own policies and unite as one.
But facing mounting discontent, Iran's reform-minded president is trying to strike a conciliatory note. People are dissatisfied, Masoud Pezeshkian said yesterday. We are at fault. Don't go after America as the one to blame. It is we who must make the effort to find solutions. Solutions are urgently needed. This latest upheaval has been triggered by a collapse in currency and the soaring price of food on the back of crippling sanctions and economic mismanagement. But there's another fear looming, that Israel and the United States will once more attack, as they did last summer, to devastating effect. Donald Trump hosted Benjamin Netanyahu at Mar-a-Lago earlier this week, both men accusing Iran of ramping up production of ballistic missiles. Faced with popular unrest, Iran's hardliners have generally been ruthless in the past. With pressure coming from inside and outside the country, which way will the regime turn now? Paul Adams, BBC News.
Police in Nigeria say the driver of a car carrying the British boxer Anthony Joshua that was involved in a fatal crash in Nigeria has been charged with reckless and dangerous driving. The former heavyweight world boxing champion was injured after the car he was in hit a parked truck on a busy Nigerian highway on Monday. 46-year-old Adeniyi Mobolayi Kayode was driving the boxer and two of his friends who died in the crash. From today, all children in the UK between the ages of 12 to 18 months can now be offered a vaccine against chickenpox for the first time on the NHS. It will be combined with the existing MMR jab. Children up to the age of 6 can catch up on doses when invited. Our health correspondent Catherine Burns reports.
Making history is a noisy business when you're only 1 year old. Baby Fatima is one of the first children to have a chickenpox vaccine on the NHS. Unai is also one. Until now, he would have been getting a 3-in-1 vaccine at this stage, MMR, protecting him from measles, mumps and rubella. Now, that's a 4-in-1, defending him from chickenpox too. Zora is 3 1/4. That's the age the second dose of MMR has normally been given.
Damn, you're so good.
But from now on, babies will be offered the second dose at 18 months to give them that boost earlier.
I think it's just the importance of vaccinations, really, and making sure he's got the, a fine, fit immune system.
And this is what they're being protected against. Chickenpox is a pretty miserable and highly contagious infection. That itchy, spotty rash that blisters and scabs over. Chickenpox is practically a rite of passage during childhood. Around half of 4-year-olds have already been infected, and that goes up to 90% by the time children reach 10. But this vaccine is highly effective, so the hope is that those rates will drop dramatically.
Chickenpox is mild for most, but for some it can result in hospitalisation and death. And the fact that we now have a vaccine that's protecting is superb.
For health officials, the priority will be making sure enough families get vaccinated.
I'm really worried that we're not hitting vaccination rates full stop in this country. We've seen a real drop-off. If you're invited for your vaccine, please come and bring your children.
Okay, so that's the one. The tears don't last long, but the protection does. Zora is off for a treat now.
Good to eat. Want a hot chocolate or an ice cream?
Ice cream. Catherine Burns, BBC News.
Time is nearly 6:20. Our top story this evening. Swiss authorities confirm 40 people have been killed and 119 have been injured in the fire at a bar in a Swiss ski resort. Many families are still searching for their missing children. And coming up, we speak to one of the stars of the film Hamnet, tipped for Oscar greatness.
And on the north at past, the charity fundraiser Swimming in the Sea every day for a year, who's just one last dip from the finish line. And taking the temperature in the plant world, we find out what's in bloom despite the cold snap.
Renewable energy produced a record amount of electricity in the UK in 2025, according to BBC analysis. The new data confirms just how central renewable power has become to our electricity supply, providing at least half the UK's power on roughly 1 in 3 days last year. Our climate editor, Justin Rollout, is here to explain.
Thanks, Sophie. Well, the Met Office has confirmed that 2025 was the sunniest year on record in the UK, and that, coupled with an increase in solar installations, including some 250,000 people who put solar panels on their homes, helped increase the amount of electricity it generated by a third, up from, look at this, 14 terawatts in 2024 to 18 terawatts last year. At its peak, solar was generating 40% of Great Britain's power for a number of half-hour periods in July. Now, wind remained the country's largest single source of electricity, supplying 82 terawatts, 29% of Britain's electricity, up a little bit on 2024. It was, though, once again higher than gas, which generated 75 terawatts of power, just over a quarter of the total. And it is part of a very significant increase in renewable generation over the last 16 years. Just look at that. Last year, all renewables, so wind, solar, hydro and biomass, supplied 47% of Britain's power. Now, add in nuclear power and low-carbon sources accounted for roughly 3/4 of electricity generated. It is a big number, but still a long way off the government's target that virtually all the country's electricity should come from low-carbon sources by 2030.
75% of the UK's electricity coming from clean supplies. We need to get that up massively by 2030. There was a small step forward in 2025 thanks to big increases from solar and also from wind. But there's a challenge in the next few years is that not only does that need to ramp up quickly, but we need to replace nuclear power plants because all but one of those are going to be closed by 2030.
And there is another challenge. After years of decline, we've started to use more electricity. Demand was up by 1% last year. Now, it doesn't sound much, but it's expected to be the beginning of a long-term increase as more of us switch over to electric vehicles and heat pumps and as more data centres are connected to the grid. Sophie.
Justin, thank you. Sales of weight loss jabs are continuing to boom. It is estimated that up to 2.5 million adults in the UK are on the weekly injections. Most are paying privately, but the NHS is beginning to roll out their use to those most in need. Our medical editor, Fergus Walsh, has been following 2 patients for more than a year.
18 months ago, Nicola's weight had become a serious issue. With multiple health conditions, she spends most of her time in bed.
Well done, Tristan.
In August last year, she weighed 149 kilos, 23.5 stone. Nicola was one of the first patients to be prescribed the weekly weight loss jab Wegovy on the NHS.
That's fine, okay. Okay.
Fast forward over a year,
Are you able to go on the weighing scale for me?
and Nicola has lost 25 kilos, 4 stone. How do you feel now?
Oh, my joints are just so much happier. My knees, my ankles, my hips, etc. Just such a difference.
Morning, Nicola. How are you? Nice to see you.
Only a tiny minority of patients who could benefit are able to access the jabs on the NHS.
So how are you?
Via clinics like this one at London's Guy's Hospital.
The benefits that we're seeing are significant. And they really go beyond the weight loss in metabolic health, remission of type 2 diabetes, people coming off insulin, people coming off their sleep apnea machine, improvements in blood pressure and just quality of life.
Wegovy works by mimicking a gut hormone that regulates hunger. It also slows down digestion. What's your relationship with food like now?
I would say very good. Our portion sizes have definitely shrunk, but I'm fine with that.
Jean has type 2 diabetes. In October last year, she weighed 102 kilos or 16 stone. She was prescribed another weight loss drug, Mounjaro. This is Jean more than 14 months later. Age 63, she is exercising more and eating less. Tell me about food noise before you went on the drug and what it's like now.
Before, food noise was what I would say loud and proud. It was screaming. You just constantly think about food, food, food. What do I eat? What can I eat?
Jean has lost 13 kilos or 2 stone.
The measurement is completed.
The fact that you've been able to come off insulin is great.
But the main benefit is to her diabetes.
I would have liked the weight loss to have been a little bit more, but the weight loss is secondary. The primary goal was to get me off the insulin, and we achieved that in less than a month.
But there's widespread concern about the jabs being bought privately by some seeking to lose weight for cosmetic rather than health reasons.
We don't know what the long-term effect is of these drugs on other aspects of somebody's health in terms of nutrition and muscle health and bone health. And so they really should be reserved for those people that really do need the medication.
Daily weight loss tablets are expected to be available soon, and other, even more powerful injectables are on the horizon. So, for better or worse, these medicines are here to stay. Fergus Walsh, BBC News.
Now, in around an hour's time, the semi-finals of the World Darts Championship gets underway. The defending champion, Lee Littler, is hoping to reach the final and repeat last year's heroics. Matt Graveling is at Alexandra Palace in London for us. Matt.
Sophie, they've just finished hoovering the stage and the doors are about to open here for this tournament, which started all the way back on the 11th of December with 128 players. We are now down to the final four. England's Ryan Searle and Luke Littler, Scotland's Gary Anderson and Holland's Jan van Veen. Luke the Nuke will be on stage first, and let's not forget, Sophie, these players now playing for a minimum £500,000. That's what the runner-up of tomorrow's final will take home. The winner will take home a record £1 million. Luke the Nuke still going very strong here. He won 5-0 last night, and he was worried about boos from his previous match, but it seems like he's won back. The fans are now hoping to win back-to-back trophies. He is also still the bookies' favourites, but Sophie, keep a keen eye on the Dutch number one, Jan van Veen, who dispatched the world number two, Luke Humphries, 5-1 here last night in devastating fashion. He's going to be hoping to lift that trophy for the first time and ruin the Luke the Nuke's party.
Matt, thank you. Now, it's one of the most anticipated films of 2026, Hamnet, based on the award-winning novel by Maggie O'Farrell. It tells the story of William Shakespeare and his wife Agnes and the tragic events that inspired Shakespeare's Hamlet. Lisa Mazimba has been talking to one of the film's stars, Jessie Buckley.
Is it true? You know everything about a person by touching them here.
Not everything. Hamnet shows all the human emotions from love to grief. And while it might explore the origins of one of Shakespeare's greatest plays, it never portrays Jessie Buckley's Agnes as just his wife. Agnes is the heart of the film. She was the full story of what I understand a woman to be, and their capacity as women and as mothers and as lovers and as people who have a language unto their own beside, you know, gigantic men of literature like Shakespeare. I see you grown, very strong. And I see you in London working with your father. The most moving relationship, though, is inevitably the one between Agnes and her son, Hamnet. One that took Jessie Buckley into new emotional territory. I was conscious and scared of, can I do it? Not can I do it, but can I tell it as honestly and bravely and humanly as possible, having not been a mother at the time and, having not lost a child. The culmination of this film are those scenes at the Globe Theatre. How did you feel going in? Did you feel confident? I was not confident at all. I felt terrified, totally overwhelmed. For the first 4 days, I was completely lost. I felt untethered. I didn't know how to be in this space. I didn't know where to go, and then I realised
That's incredibly human, is to be lost, and that is absolutely Agnes's story, is to be lost.
The film has been winning plaudits everywhere, with particular praise for Jessie Buckley's performance.
He's got more inside of him than any man I've ever met.
When the Academy Award for Best Actress is announced on stage next March, she's the frontrunner to be presented with the Oscar. Lisa Mazimba, BBC News.
Weather now. Ben Rich is here. Hello.
Hi Sophie, it is cold out there and it is going to stay that way. Expect a lot of frost overnight, expect some pretty low temperatures through the weekend, and for some of us, well, some more significant snow. A Met Office amber warning in force across parts of northern and eastern Scotland through tonight and into tomorrow. It's possible that some places could see 30 or 40 centimetres of snow. And then at midnight, this amber warning comes into force across Shetland, with the snow showers expected to intensify here for a time. This is what we've seen during this afternoon. Frequent snow showers across the north of Scotland. Also, these showers working in across eastern England. They will give some snow, especially but not exclusively over high ground through the night, and some showers through Northern Ireland, parts of Wales and the southwest of England. These are a mix of rain, sleet and snow, but where you see showers overnight, there is certainly the risk of ice, and temperatures in a few places will maybe down to around -7 Celsius. So really cold to start tomorrow. Now, for most of us, it's just going to be a beautiful, sunny, but very chilly day. But in northern Scotland, more of those frequent snow showers, strong winds as well, giving blizzard conditions at times. Snow showers down the eastern side of England, and some showers of rain, sleet and snow for Northern Ireland, Wales and the southwest. And these are the maximum temperatures, really struggling to get above freezing in some places. Now, a bit of a change in the wind direction into Sunday, more of a northwesterly wind. So some of these showers in eastern England may retreat into the North Sea. We will continue to see quite a few snow showers in northern Scotland. And then this zone of showers here across parts of Northern Ireland, northwest England, Wales, the southwest, that could give a covering of snow in places. A very cold feeling Sunday, so a really wintry weekend. Sophie.
Thank you very much. That's it from us on the BBC News at 6. I'll be back at 10 now. It's time for the news where you are. Goodbye.